What's the biggest difference you've seen from the first 3 games of this best-of-7 to the last 3 games from Florida?
Oh, man, it's tough because I have things that come to mind, but then I also want to give respect to their opponent, too, because I feel like their opponent in the Edmonton Oilers are a different team than we saw early on. Edmonton was getting opportunities. We know this throughout. And remember how Game 1 was. That was a Sergei Bobrovsky stolen game for the Florida Panthers. But now we're starting to see the details. Like, early on, we saw the details, winning puck battles, just looked to be their box outs were unbelievable for Florida. And now it seems to be flipped. And all the details now, for me, in the last 3 games, are falling with Edmonton. And now, all of a sudden, now their box outs are unbelievable. Their ability, their puck races, they're winning those. Their puck battles, they're dominating. They're outworking the Florida Panthers right now.
Yeah, the puck management, I mean, the obvious answer is Bob, but Doobie could deal with that. But the puck management for Florida, when they play well, they're very predictable. They put it in deep. They get it after the forecheck. They activate their defensemen. They make it really suffocating. When they try to get too creative, bad things happen. And here they are. So it's a 0-0 game. Carter Verhaeghe, where are you going with this one? You put it into the skate of Barkov. Forsley's already trapped up ice. He turns it over. And 6 seconds later, it's 1-0, and it's Bedland. So Verhaeghe's got to push this one, right? Forsley's at the offensive blue line. Just rim it, hard rim to the Bennett on the far side. But he puts it into the feet of Barkov. Now it's a 3-on-2. Draisaitl gets the puck over the blue line before his wingers get across. That's important for later. And Foegele, even though he falls with Ekblad, how about the effort to get back up, both feet, and then this, I like this. Most guys might stick Holloway, get your foot out there because you want the puck. He thinks about it, sticks his foot out there, gonna corral it, then pulls it back in. Nah. That's Leon Draisaitl passing. He's not going to put this in my foot where I can't handle it. It must be for somebody else. So he lets it go. Foegele goes upstairs. But that sort of summarizes sort of bad decision-making, bad places on the ice that result in Edmonton getting those rush chances they're so dangerous with. They got to really clean those up going into Game 7.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of talk about Bob. I mean, I don't know. What's wrong with those 3 goals? I mean, look at it's a backdoor one-timer. It's a backdoor 2-on-1. Like, it's a breakaway. Now, I understand
But he stopped Henrique's shot earlier in the series.
I understand that, and he's going to stop those sometimes. But there's a reason why grade A high percentage save percentages are not 920. Even though Bob's was for the start of the series, if you continue to go, there's a reason why there's trends and why these high percentage save percentages are closer to 830, and eventually. We also talked about at the start of the series where a lot of these grade A chances were contested by Florida, so there was a stick on them, and they weren't able to get these shots up. And we're seeing they're continuing to give up these 2-on-1s, these rush chances,
they've got to have
breakaways, these grade A's,
breakaways.
but they're no longer contested either. These guys they're wide open, and we know how skilled the others are, and they're starting to make shots, they're starting to make plays, and I just think I really don't think there's any bad goals. Yeah, he's not making the saves.
Just the McDavid one through his feet. That was probably the only one that was bad. But yeah, absolutely.
But, I mean, we're like, look at the goals. These are just like, if you want to continue to play that game with Edmonton, this is what's going to happen, and that's what has happened. Is that Florida went out, they deserved Game 2, they didn't deserve Game 1. Toss up Game 3, and now they're playing with fire, and they want to continue to give Edmonton these chances, and they're just too good. They're going to end up in the back of the net. I don't care who is in it.
Almost like Florida was asking too much of Bob. He did it. Thank you very much. Yeah. But you know, to expect him to do that for the whole series, to shut down a 54 goal scorer on a breakaway, even though he did that 3-4 times in the first game with contested breakaways, but
he could stop that 9 out of 10 times, and like,
this is the one, right?
Or 8 out of 10, whatever. But if you keep doing it over and over, eventually they're going to end up in the net.
And those are the breakdowns you're talking about.
Yeah, and the only thing I would say there, and I agree with what you're saying with Bob. That's a whole nother segment talking about the odd man rushes, the breakaways against. He's seeing some things in a Stanley Cup final that you shouldn't see all of playoffs. But Stuart Skinner is making that timely save, and that Zach Hyman one tonight was that one play where you needed one. And you can say it's a breakaway, you're giving up, but that's the one that I think you have to have. He didn't get it, and Stuart Skinner did.
You were talking about those odd man rush chances and the way the Oilers now breaking the pucks out. I know you mentioned to me in that second period, and really throughout this whole series, the way that the Florida D crashed down on the boards, and the Oilers have kind of adjusted the way they're eating pucks on the wall and making better decisions.
Yeah, so this is sort of, as a former winger repper, you can appreciate this, right? So when the puck comes around to you at the hash marks, and you know the defenseman is coming down, you got to go lower in the zone to try to get there first. Now, the bailout play is just to try to chop it past the defenseman up towards your blue line. But that's where a Florida Panther forward will be standing, and he'll be all by himself with lots of time of possession. Edmonton was doing a lot of that early in the series. Now, when the puck comes around the boards, if they can't make a play, they're doing a way better job of eating it. They stop it, they take the hit, they scrum it there, and they're winning that battle to make a little pop play for a reverse, pop play to the middle, or maybe just wheel the puck out and flip it out themselves. They're not bailing out with that chop play to the blue line because that doesn't work. That just recycles the offensive forecheck. I think it's been a really good adjustment made by the wingers. Centerman staying underneath the pile, not blowing the zone when they don't have full possession, and that has really negated the strongest part of Florida's offensive game, which is their forecheck. It's been a really good job. Not easy to do at all, but they've done a good job with it.
Well, and I was just going to say, because that's not what Edmonton's comfortable with, right? They want to chop it out and go because they have all the speed. So good on them to make that adjustment, to change what maybe isn't what they necessarily want to do, but it's going to be effective, and they've made that adjustment. It's been huge.
The big thing when Johnny talks about it, and I love that, and I used to always say to defensemen too, when you get in situations like that where you're on the run and you're getting the puck kept in your zone as a winger, if you're sending the puck around the wall, it's either got to be hard or it's got to be soft. It can't be anywhere in between.
Right.
Because if you put it in between, now I got to skate down on the puck. I've got a guy right on my rear end coming down there, and I don't want to be down there. That's not my area of the ice. You give a soft one, I'll go sit down there. It's going to be too far for him to come. Now I got some time. Or let's bring that fight out to the blue line. Let's bring it right out to the blue line. So all I have to do, if you're in there with the boardsman, I have to get this puck about 2 feet
right
out
into
of
the guy
zone, and we're good to go. So I think they've done a much better job of that, and they've also flied the zone a lot of times too, and that's what's given them these odd man.
But timing is everything. They fly when appropriate, support when appropriate. It's just gotten cleaner from the big mistakes we saw earlier. They're not making them as often as we've gotten deeper in the series.
Eat it. I've done it as well as the series gone along, just off the ice. The pants getting a little bit tighter. Got a couple more days.